Breaking news: The Young and the Restless spoilers Wednesday, full October 30th, 2024. Kyle Abbott was at a crossroads. The weight of recent events pressed heavily upon him, leaving him torn between staying away or heeding Claire's advice to return to Genoa City. The turmoil in his life had reached a tipping point, and the thought of going back stirred a mix of apprehension and longing. His arch-nemesis, the person he despised most, his own mother, Diane Jenkins, had finally left Jabot Cosmetics. With her departure, the path seemed clearer, allowing him to return without the constant shadow of her presence looming over him. Kyle pondered the implications of returning. His relationship with his father, Jack Abbott, had always been complex but rooted in love. They had faced their share of conflicts, but none severe enough to sever their bond. With Diane out of the picture at Jabot, perhaps he and Jack could rebuild and nurture their relationship as they once did. The prospect brought a glimmer of hope to Kyle's otherwise troubled thoughts. Meanwhile, at Newman Enterprises, tensions were escalating. Victor Newman and his wife Nikki were embroiled in heated arguments over Diane's recent induction into the company. Nikki was vehemently opposed to Diane's involvement, suspicious of her motives and the potential chaos she could bring. Victor, however, had his own clandestine reasons for bringing Diane on board. He assured Nikki that everything he was doing was part of a larger plan to outmaneuver Jack Abbott. "Trust me," Victor insisted, his eyes steely with determination. "Every move I make is to ensure we defeat Jack. You just need to be patient." Nikki was far from satisfied with Victor's vague assurances. "I deserve to know what's going on, Victor," she demanded. "Bringing Diane into our company affects us all. How can you expect me to stay silent?" Victor sighed, his expression softening slightly. "I understand your concerns, Nikki, but some things are better left unsaid for now. I promise you, it's all for the greater good." Back in Genoa City, a young and astute Lucy was piecing together a puzzle of her own. She had stumbled upon something intriguing in the trunk of Sharon's car, a secret that could potentially unravel a web of deceit. Among the miscellaneous items, she discovered a keepsake that belonged to her late mother, Heather. It was a locket, tarnished but unmistakable, a relic she thought was lost forever. Lucy's heart raced as she held the locket in her hands. Questions flooded her mind. Why was her mother's locket in Sharon's possession? Was this mere coincidence, or did it signify something more sinister? She knew she had to tread carefully. Lucy was wise beyond her years, understanding that acting rashly could jeopardize her father's freedom. Daniel, her father, was already under immense scrutiny, and the last thing she wanted was to see him unjustly imprisoned. Determined to uncover the truth, Lucy began discreetly investigating Sharon's activities. She observed that Sharon had been acting unusually secretive, often disappearing without explanation. Lucy suspected that Sharon might be involved in Heather's disappearance, or worse. She decided to gather as much evidence as possible before confronting anyone, knowing that a well-timed revelation could make all the difference. As days passed, Kyle made his decision. He would return to Genoa City and reclaim his place at Jabot. The thought of reuniting with his father filled him with a renewed sense of purpose. Upon his arrival, he found Jack in his office, engrossed in paperwork. Jack looked up, surprised but visibly pleased to see his son. "Kyle," Jack said warmly, standing up to greet him. "It's good to see you." "It's good to be back, Dad," Kyle replied, embracing his father. "I hope it's all right that I came without much notice." "Of course it is," Jack assured him. "This is your home, and Jabot will always have a place for you." They spent hours catching up, discussing both personal matters and business. It was as if the distance and past misunderstandings had melted away. Kyle felt a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in a long time. He shared his concerns about returning, especially regarding Diane. "I'm aware that your mother has left Jabot," Jack said thoughtfully. "Her departure was unexpected, but perhaps it's for the best." "I just want to focus on the future," Kyle admitted. "I want us to work together, like we used to." Jack smiled. "I'd like that very much." Meanwhile, the tension between Victor and Nikki continued to simmer. Nikki couldn't shake the feeling that Victor's plans involving Diane were more dangerous than he let on. She decided to take matters into her own hands, digging into Diane's activities at Newman Enterprises. What she found only fueled her suspicions. Diane was given access to sensitive information, projects that could undermine Jabot's position in the market. One evening, Nikki confronted Victor. "You're using Diane to sabotage Jack's company, aren't you?" she accused. Victor met her gaze steadily. "I'm doing what's necessary for our family's interests." "At what cost?" Nikki retorted. "You're playing a dangerous game, and involving Diane is only going to backfire." "Trust me, Nikki," Victor said firmly. "I have everything under control." But Nikki was far from convinced. She knew Victor's history of ruthless tactics and feared the collateral damage that often accompanied his schemes. At the same time, Lucy had made significant progress in her investigation. She discovered that Sharon had been in contact with individuals connected to her mother's disappearance. Utilizing her tech-savvy skills, Lucy managed to hack into Sharon's email account, uncovering a series of encrypted messages. Decoding them, she found references to transactions and meetings that implicated Sharon in a larger conspiracy. Realizing the gravity of her findings, Lucy decided to approach Chance Chancellor, a trusted figure and an experienced investigator. Meeting him in a discreet location, she presented the evidence. "Chance, I need your help," Lucy said urgently. "I think Sharon is involved in my mother's disappearance and possibly framing my father." Chance examined the documents, his expression growing serious. "This is substantial, Lucy. You've done incredible work gathering this." "I couldn't just sit back and let my father be accused of something he didn't do," she replied. "We need to act before it's too late." "Agreed," Chance nodded. "But we have to proceed carefully. If Sharon is involved in something this deep, we need to make sure we have airtight evidence." Together, they formulated a plan to bring Sharon's actions to light without jeopardizing Daniel's situation. Chance began officially investigating Sharon, using the evidence Lucy had provided as a starting point. Back at Jabot, Kyle and Jack were making strides in revitalizing the company. Their renewed partnership breathed fresh energy into the business. They held meetings with key stakeholders, rolled out innovative product lines, and began reclaiming market share. News of their success reached Victor, who watched with a mix of irritation and grudging respect. "Damn those Abbots," Victor muttered to himself. "They always find a way." Diane, sensing Victor's frustration, approached him. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider our approach," she suggested. Victor eyed her critically. "Are you losing your nerve, Diane?" "Not at all," she replied smoothly. "But perhaps a more subtle tactic would yield better results." Unbeknownst to Victor, Diane had her own agenda. She was playing both sides, feeding information to Jack while keeping Victor under the impression that she was loyal to him. Her ultimate goal was to secure her own position of power, regardless of who got hurt in the process. Nikki, ever observant, noticed Diane's duplicity. She decided to warn Jack, arranging a private meeting under the pretense of discussing a charity event. "Jack, I need to tell you something," Nikki began cautiously. "It's about Diane." Jack sighed. "What has she done now?" "I believe she's manipulating both you and Victor," Nikki explained. "She's been passing information between Newman Enterprises and Jabot, playing you against each other." Jack's eyes narrowed. "That doesn't surprise me. Diane has always been adept at stirring trouble." "Be careful," Nikki advised. "I don't want to see either of you get caught in her web." "Thank you for the warning, Nikki," Jack said sincerely. "I'll keep an eye on her."